I live in the Isle of Sheppey, right? So
Got a good reputation, Sheppey, I've heard.
no, it hasn't. I was going to say,
Like, who have you been talking
where
to?
you been living?
People hide stuff too much, don't they?
Yeah.
And we all do it because we're embarrassed, or we're trying to present an image of ourselves to the world that we want to put forward an image of. I like
Perfection.
this person, and
Invulnerability.
I'm this person,
Yeah.
and it's a really slippery slope, I think, to play that game, because I've kind of seen it in people where if you go down that path for long enough, it comes to a head where you will be confronted with your actual genuine self, the one that you've been trying to hide. Something will happen, you'll meet that person smack on, and you won't know how to deal with it because you've been effectively, for want of a better term, living a lie.
You've been suppressing yourself
Yeah.
for so long.
Yeah.
Which is what I did.
I think
a lot
also
of people do
nowadays
that.
social media makes it even easier for people to do that, because they
It
project.
Do you know
This
what? The
perfection.
amount of people that I've unfollowed on social media.
Just because of nonsense.
The sheer bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, especially when the Black Lives Matter thing come out, and and then because there was some. I understand what it's all about. I'm not racist at all. I've got ethnic friends, and I hate the fact that anybody puts anyone else down for it. But on the flip side, some people use it for their own gain, and some people use it wrongly and everything. And the amount of comments from white people that were being racist, from black people that were, putting the wrong stuff up.
Yeah.
And
it's inciting division. There's a lot of inciting of division, and I know the loudest people on social media, you only see the loudest ones, and the loudest are the really extreme on one side or extreme on the other. But there were people who were posting things like, with the opening line saying, "Dear white people," and I was like,
that's a series on Netflix, isn't it?
It probably is.
I think it's with that
controversial documentary.
American talk show host Chelsea Handler or something.
Yeah.
And it's basically something to do with white privilege, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's exactly
which I understand white privilege now, because I never did. But white privilege, as I understand it, is that because our great people could own property and they could own everything else, they could pass money down, whereas black people couldn't.
So is it like generational wealth?
Yeah, it's generational wealth. White privilege is actually generational wealth.
Right.
But people have changed it into something else.
And wealth.
The actual real meaning of it is that my father got money from his father, who got money from his father, who got money from his father.
Yeah.
But actually 2 generations back, black people never had anything to pass down. So they are about 5 generations financially behind us. There's a spider coming down just above your head.
Oh, we'll get that on camera, hopefully.
So I didn't want it landing on the table in case it made a noise. This is only
found a new home for him.
We've had this discussion. Just one drop about
the tabletop.
Yeah, only winding you up.
But you wait until you see what this tabletop's gonna be before you
He's
really
still on the hook.
Before you really go there.
Even
So
though we're
easy,
joking,
mate,
he's
so
still
easy.
on the hook.
It's gonna be something.
Aaron wanted to delay this another few weeks to do the tabletop.
Get it just right.
Do you remember what I said to you about my dad parking the car 8 times in one parking space? That's you on this table.
That's me on this.
Seriously,
Well, in fairness,
that's disturbing behaviour.
He did at least park the car. I haven't done anything with the tabletop.
Oh, here we go, look.
So he's
Seriously, you're my father's son. You really are.
So when you said about childhood was the sort of trigger.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, so basically, I was always different. So I had ADHD.
Yeah.
And obviously, back in the 80s, you were just a problem child. Yeah.
Lively.
Absolutely. But I was extremely intelligent. I mean, I was put up years in primary school because I was just too clever. Yeah. But because I was so clever and I would do anything that was done like that, anything that was asked, I would then become disruptive, talking, blah, 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 blah. So I was always an outcast. I was never nasty. I never bullied. Yes, I got involved in fights. And yes, I never picked a fight I was going to lose. So, and so on and so forth. But I'll give you an idea. Secondary school, I was captain of the upper 6 football team when I was in year 5 because sport I was very good. Yeah, but I was bullied. So normally the captain of the first sports is not the one that's bullied.
No, they're the sort of
the
leader.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was bullied, right? But I was captain because my brain, I could see things before they were happening. I could arrange people before, and I also knew what it felt like not to be motivated, so I could motivate people.
Yes, yeah.
I could take how I felt and turn it around to help others, which is what I do now as well. But I played in a football team, and this is what the bullying was like. So I would be on a bus going to a game, and the guys would actually form a wall of bags around me on this bus, so people didn't have to talk to me. Right? So
do you think it's jealousy because you're like the star player? Or?
Well, maybe because.
And because you were ahead.
Well, I think stuff like when you used to have to go and do a lap of the pitch or 2 laps of the pitch, I'd be miles ahead of everyone else, just because I was fit. I was fit as anything. Yeah, completely fit. When they asked us to do something, I would do it. I had no issues doing it. Yeah. Others wanted to mess around and all stuff like this, and I just took what I was doing seriously. Yeah. I wasn't the star of every team, but I was in most of them. Yeah. And basically, so what had happened is this is the coach and the assistant coach, they allowed the kids to bully me.
Really?
They actually allowed them to bully me, and this is where I do a lot with Paul Stewart now, the ex Tottenham and Liverpool forward.
Yeah.
That was abused. I wasn't abused, but he was abused by coaches. And he does a safeguarding course now, and then we're working with him now about helping fund that through the Sports Business Club, which we'll talk about later on. Because the adults back then allowed kids. And then, so anyway, long story short, I'd go on the pitch, we'd play a game, we'd win a game, and they're like, yeah, Dave, it's absolutely brilliant, get off the pitch, and it's like, right, go and sit in the corner, no one's talking anymore.
What, the coaches would say that?
Coaches?
No, the players, but the coaches would allow it.
Why do you think they allowed that?
Well,
like team building in some weird way?
Both of them had their sons playing in the team. You know?
Right, okay.
And, you know, whatever. So, I mean, I left that team pretty quickly, you know.
Yeah.
And then in the end, I went to join a team that I literally won everything at the top. And that was the change for me, because all of a sudden I was with a load of people that were as good as me. And then my confidence went, because now I was worried about making mistakes.
Like imposter syndrome, like almost.
Yeah, exactly. What the hell am I doing here? These guys are all on professional books.
These are all elite.
Literally, there was a team of 15 and 11 of them were on professional books.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was...
How old were you at the time?
17.
Yes.
Yeah, 17. And I had problems with my ankles because I had my right leg in plaster 3 times in 7 months. My left leg in plaster twice. This is by the time I was 20. Yeah. And it was because of ADHD. If there was a ball that was a 70-30 in their favour, I'd still go for it. And I'd still throw everything into it. And I'd come out with a broken bone or something, you know. Yeah. Because my determination was just so high.
To succeed and to...
Yeah, absolutely. But, so the bullying was one of the other things. But one of the biggest things was just... I could never achieve in my father's eyes. You know, I played classical guitar. Very good. But classical guitar. I mean, I played in restaurants in Barcelona, and people walking past would just stop and just listen, you know. I played in front of a couple of thousand people in a hall a couple of times, you know, and people would just they'd be like, "You're amazing. Play again. You're amazing," you know. But I would, if I'd done a concert for an hour or so playing, and come off, and everyone was how good it was. My dad would be waiting to say, you messed that one bit up, that one small bit that no one else noticed.
That no one even...
Yeah? You didn't practice hard enough. You let me down. You let yourself down. And I would go from feeling I'd done something to...
immediately pull down.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be at a stage where it would be... It'd be anything to put me down. And it's really weird. So I've got a good relationship with him now. But, you know, I'd be made to practice an hour a night. And I got so intense, I'd actually set an alarm on back then it wasn't a phone, but I had an alarm clock, and I actually set it for an hour. So that as soon as it beeped, I'd throw the guitar down and get straight out of the room. Yeah, there was no enjoyment in playing, none. But if I didn't do it...
And did you enjoy it before that?
I don't actually remember. I enjoyed performing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, what didn't help is that whenever we had family round, or friends round, like adults, like, Dave's going to get his guitar out and play, and I'd be like, I don't want to play. It's like, Dave's going to play, and it's like, I don't want to. And everyone used to think, who the hell does Dave think he is, just wanting to play all the time?
Oh, really?
It always come across like it was me being arrogant.
So putting you on the spot.
Put him at a pedestal in front of everybody, you know? And then when I finish playing, he's normally better than that, but he ain't practiced hard enough. And it's like, what fucking make me play?
Immediately belittle.
If you're then going to belittle me straight afterwards in front of everybody, you know? I went through this constant cycle of euphoria when I was playing and people were loving it, to them feeling like I wasn't even good enough to be in the same room as my father. And I lost a finger when I was 14, so I playing tennis and I knocked a ball over a fence. And instead of walking across 3 courts through a gate, I'd climb the fence and I'd have a ring on and get it caught in the fence and rip my finger off. Yes.
That's brutal.
Yeah, that's right.
I love the way they're like, he goes and plays tennis, he comes back without a finger.
Absolutely. Well, look, I get cheaper gloves, so we're right. It's fine. But so basically, this is the intensity of my dad, right? So I was due to play at a guitar society, which was basically a group of load of guitarists getting together I think it used to do every 2 weeks, whatever. So I don't know if the conversation went the way it did, but normally you'd have a cast all over. I had stitches all the way down here, 6 scars in there, and down the back. He managed to get, so I had a back slab on that was there, on the inside. And then it was bandages, and over here, but all my fingers and thumb was free. And it was so I could still play.
The guitar.
Oh, what, so he wanted them
whilst my finger was being taken off, yeah? This discussion was taking place.
So he's already planning.
So your finger didn't come clean off; it was hanging off.
So the bone was sticking out; the rest was hanging down the side.
But degloved almost.
They cut it off and then sewed it up. But what I'm saying is that within 10 days, I was playing guitar with bandages all around, stitches all down my hand, and I was playing guitar.
Just enough to.
And someone came up afterwards that played guitar for years and said to me, he said, "Oh, what have you done? Sprained your wrist?" I went, "No, I lost a finger." And the guy almost fell on the floor because he was a professional guitarist, and it's like that's almost your career.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Ronaldo losing a foot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Almost not to that extreme, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So basically, I was still being forced into playing. You know, even though I'd lost a finger and I hadn't dealt with that. I hadn't dealt with that trauma. And I'm still not thinking I was good. And it was really weird because about a year later, I was in the shower and I was just looking at my hand. And that's when I broke down. I literally broke down in tears. 14, 15 years old, crying my eyes out. And then all of a sudden, it was like a light bulb moment. This is my reason to give up. Because I felt that I was going to let... My dad he never meant it. He's a good guy, but just didn't do it the right way. But what he did is he used I've paid £25 an hour. I mean, back in the 90s, that's 50 quid an hour. I paid £25 an hour every single week for 3 years for you to learn this. So I always felt I can't let him down. Mm-hmm. You know, and the finger was my reason to let him down without it being me letting him down.
Yeah. So was there a sense of relief then? Yeah. You thought I don't have to do this anymore.
I was meant to lose my finger.
Yeah.
I was 100% meant to lose my finger. Things happen for a reason.
And from that, when you said that, how did he react? Because he was very invested in it, obviously.
He couldn't say no.
No.
Because his son had lost a finger. I mean, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he couldn't say no. And it's really weird because even later on, 5 years later, for my birthday, he bought a guitar for me. I'm thinking, why buy me a guitar? I haven't touched it for 5 years. I'm never going to touch it again. Why buy me a guitar? And then when I separated with the ex-wife, and he's in my own place, he bought another guitar for me. So why keep putting a guitar in front of me? I ain't going to pick it up again. And granted, during lockdown, I did pick it up. On my Instagram, there's me playing a couple of pieces. Yeah. But even then, I didn't get enjoyment out of it.
Really? Is it because of the memory of it?
Yeah, it's yeah, but I've got other stuff going on now. There's more important stuff for me now.
Yeah.
Yeah? Sports business clubs are more important. Seeing my kids is more important. And do you know what's even more important? Is me.
Yeah.
I don't need to fill my time with stuff now. I need to be me.
Yeah, and enjoy it.
That's a thing I think a lot of people struggle with, is actually just to be able to be alone, be yourself, in the absence of too much going on, too much to distract yourself, and just whatever, just do something stupid, just clean the house, make some food, relax, read a book or whatever.
Yeah.
Not many people can do that. They need something there to occupy their mind because they can't just be themselves.
I think especially with the lockdown, you saw some people flourished in lockdown, some people really, really struggled in lockdown.
I would say though the people who struggled would be in the majority.
Massively in the majority.
Because you're forced to stop. You could, I think a lot of blokes go to work because it's just you don't have to deal with stuff. It's almost
distraction.
It's distraction. Yeah. It might not be enjoyable, but it's preferable to dealing with whatever it is that you're unhappy about.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really weird because I started helping others. To me, I couldn't go to sleep without the TV on. I had to have
Really?
noise. I had to have noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I couldn't, or I'd be playing on my phone until I dropped off asleep. Yeah.
Serious.
I couldn't go to sleep. I get tired quite a lot actually. Now because sometimes my brain just gets so exhausted.
Is this
now
where
that
you
I'm
think you're?
not taking the stimulants,
Yeah.
I could crash like that now.
Because your brain's constantly firing almost.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, even though we're talking, I'm thinking there's so
You're
many
thinking
other
of
things
thousands
going
of
on in my
things,
mind. I can concentrate enough, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking about other stuff.
So is
Yes.
your mind is what would be to someone who's not like that? Your mind is constantly like
Yeah, so
racing almost.
ADHD is split into two parts. It's attention deficit. So I can't concentrate on one thing for a period of time. I get bored very easily. Okay? So even if I was writing a shopping list of stuff I want to get from the shops, I won't complete that list, even if it's only 20 things to write. I'll give you an idea. This happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Literally, this is how my brain works. My parents were coming to my place because I was having a delivery. I was going to work. So I was going to leave a key out for them, right? Okay? Knew it. Got up in the morning, text them, leaving the key out, no worries at all. Got out, put a key under the mat, took a photograph of it. I'm not going to tell you my address because you know where I put the key.
We know about the key.
Took a photograph of it, sent it to him, right?
Yeah.
Got to work, put my key in the office door. Right, my home key is at work. My work key is under the mat. Right? So I put the wrong key under the mat. The keys are completely fucking different, right? Excuse my language. But I put the wrong key under the mat. Even though I had 2 hours to prepare what key to put under, I'd known for a week, but my attention span is zero. That I actually put the wrong key under the mat.
Yeah, that's...
Right?
So you just wanted to get that job done, so just quickly
Job's
bang,
done, move on.
bang.
Yeah, not thinking about what was going into it, not thinking about the results of it, and not confirming what I'd done or making sure it
And
was
recognising,
right. That's how my brain works. So that's the attention deficit part of it. So you can do some of the most stupidest things in the world, but you don't think you have. And then when people point it out, that's when you feel crap. And that's what I did as a kid.
And then you feel silly because
and then people are like, what's wrong with him? He's an idiot, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then you've got the hyperactive part. So you've got the attention deficit, which means that you might have 10 things you've got to do today. You deal with 8 of them, you've only got 2 left in your head. I've still got all 10 left in my head, right? But then, the hyperactive disorder, it means that my brain works 10 times faster than yours.
Constantly.
So it is spinning those things around.
Yeah.
So it's not just there, it's spinning them. So they work against each other. Because the more it's spinning stuff, the less I can concentrate. The less I can concentrate, the more stuff goes in, the more it spins. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you get to a stage where you're just so exhausted. Just bang, you're gone.
Crash.
And that's why a lot of people with ADHD take stimulants to keep themselves going for the day. Coffee, sugar.
Well, in America, they prescribe Adderall, don't they?
They do. I mean, I had Concerta, and it's actually got amphetamine in it.
Yeah. So like speed.
Is it same with Ritalin? Is it a kind of speed or is it speed?
Yeah, I don't know what it's speed.
Very similar, aren't
something
they?
like it.
Something like.
And what it does is it does 2 things. It has something that increases your concentration, so you're able to deal with stuff.
Yeah.
But then when you're starting to, it switches up. No, it switches off the hyperactivity.
Yeah.
So you're able to start dealing with stuff, right? But then because your brain's been spinning so long, it gets tired very quickly. Because now it's like, it's not spinning a million miles an hour. So they put in that speed like amphetamine, whatever they put in there, to stimulate your brain to actually works. But your concentration levels, trust me.
Still.
I mean, no, they go through the roof.
Oh,
They
really?
go through the roof. I mean,
like focus.
It's a psychotic drug, so you have to do your ID and have it all signed off when you pick it up. But these tablets, you can get like 100 tablets. You can sell them for 100 quid each at universities.
Really?
Because kids will pay 100 quid.
Academics use them, don't they?
What, to help them study?
Oh,
dissertations.
You put one of them into a normal person, that normal person becomes superhuman.
It's almost
They
like that
do.
Limitless type.
It's
Yeah,
like, isn't it?
limitless,
absolutely. Let's not promote that. By
Yeah,
the way.
don't worry.
We're also not
We are
promoting
advocates for
prescription
no
drug
type
use.
of drugs.
We have no prescription drugs.
But it's bloody good.
No comment.
Absolutely.
I love it.
But then I stopped taking that because at the time I was taking it, I was on drugs, which was completely counterproductive.
Yeah.
Right? But then, I mean, you guys can see me. I'm animated. I never sit still. We know that, yeah? But that's who I am. And I'm fine with that now. But what I found is managing it by meditation is better than managing it by medication.
Yeah.
I've learned the best way for me to learn is audiobooks when I'm asleep.
Oh, really?
Does it actually go in there?
Subconscious.
So you'll wake up and you will. Really?
That's interesting. I've never tried that.
Yeah.
Never tried it.
It can work. I mean, the point is the brain is always working.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you're doing. But why are you dreaming? Why are you dreaming? You're dreaming because your subconscious is still working.
It's your subconscious, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ordering
Yeah.
things.
And ironically, where is all the information stored? It's not stored in your conscious mind. It's all stored in your subconscious mind.
So
your conscious mind is the in and out, in and out, in and out. Your subconscious is the storage.
So effectively, where someone might be dealing with something that's it's like a deep-rooted thing that's making them unhappy, meditation will help them gradually address that.
It depends how you do it. So you have to want to address it. So what I do, so I've kind of put a little bit of cognitive behaviour therapy in with the meditation, which is kind of almost like hypnotherapy type thing without the remedial hypnotist side of it. So what
this is something you do for yourself?
I do this for other people.
As just to help them?
Free of charge, if someone needs it.
Yeah.
I've got some very, very close friends. I won't name them because obviously it's private. But I've got some very close friends that come to me on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever, and have said, look, I've got an issue, I need some help. And I'll talk to them. And they're like, well, how much does this cost? And I'm like, it doesn't cost anything. And they're like, what? And it's like, well, look, if it works, it works. It doesn't, it doesn't. And there was a girl that I was dealing with that. So she had issues with the last couple of people cheated on her. Like, I mean, so I say girl, she's in her 30s. Yeah, she wanted kids, last serious relationships. And she always picks the wrong person. But she had a perception of the type of person she wanted to be, and she actually opened her eyes and mind up to other type of people as well, you know. So, but also through talking to her, I found out that her dad had cheated on her mum with her mum's sister. And then when her sister got married, her dad wasn't allowed to give her away, but he was at the church. There's so much kind of
traumas,
so much relationship trauma in there. So what we do is we take her back to, and she was blaming herself. This, you know, I'm the common denominator. It's all wrong. So what I would do is I would take her back to, you know, one of the exes cheating on, like a narcissist. She was with a narcissist that she was dating or whatever, yeah. And I'll take her back to that scenario and go, right, okay, look. Now, so you take away the conscious mind by slowing the breathing down and certain techniques. And it's like, right, okay. Now what I want you to do is I want you to look at that scenario, get back in that scenario. What can you think? What can you feel? You know, what can you smell? All that type of stuff to really put her there. Okay, now this is what happened, right? Now what I want you to understand is what could you have controlled? Right? Did you if someone, what they did against you, did you control it? Did you make it happen? No, I didn't. Did they make it happen? Well, yes, they did. Okay, what could you have done differently to change that scenario? Well, there's nothing I could have done. Or there is something I could have done. But either way, you're now changing that cognitive pattern.
Yeah, and the way they think about it.
To understand it, right? Okay. Yeah. And if he was in that situation again, what would happen? Well, I would do this now. Okay, so then now you don't need to worry about it because the next time that situation comes up, you're now going to do that. Or you know that there's nothing you could have done. So you don't need to bully yourself. But maybe you can just forgive that person, just not verbally to themselves, but forgive that person in your head now. Let it go. And then realise that when you start to see those behaviours next time, you'll address them rather than letting them fester, you know, and stuff like that. And anyway, she threw herself into mental fitness, and this is how powerful this is. She I mean, tell you what, this girl's fit as anything. She would do like a 5.5 mile, 10 mile run, but it was a real steep incline. She's up in Manchester. I actually went to see her, and I walked this incline. I couldn't walk it. This girl runs it, right? Okay,
elite.
Absolutely. But she can never get to the top. She'd always get to one area. And I took her there one day, and she rang me at the bottom, and I got her to sit down and meditate, and I got her to sit down and imagine the path, and I got her to sit down and imagine what her breathing's feeling at certain times, and then when she gets to that anxious part, I got her to slow her breathing down again. I control the breathing, slow it down. Yeah, realise that once you get past that one little plant or one little tree that you see, so you get past that, you've done that barrier, right? So let's make that barrier smaller. What you do is you take it from a shape of a square and a colour, and then you change that shape to a circle and a lighter colour. Yeah. And what it does is in your subconscious, it changes that barrier into something completely different. Yeah. She rang me about an hour later. She's at the top, crying her eyes out. She ran all the way to the top, crying her eyes out. She got there.
It's also the mind, control all the power of it.
It's your mind, absolutely. And the mind is so powerful. You can reduce pain. You can reduce anything through the mind. Yeah. And I absolutely love doing it. And that's ironically, I started to help people with that. And that's how I got involved in now what's Gillingham Town Football Club, which now became the Sports Business Club.
And that was the start of it.
That was the start of
Yeah.
it. I started helping people. I met a guy on LinkedIn, Paul Pickford, that Gillingham Town Football Club was set up 10 years ago in an alcohol rehab unit. He was an alcoholic. Yeah, so he's in alcoholic, and they were in a hostel. No one was talking to each other, so he got a football one day and went, right, that's it. I'm fed up with no one talking to each other. Let's go down the park. And Gillingham Town was born out of that.
The football club, yeah.
And 10 years later, it's now semi-pro. We've got Eduardo and Denilson from Arsenal, the directors there, or involved in it as ambassadors of the club. And we're going from strength to strength. But what we're doing prior to lockdown was to be able to use club facilities for Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Scouts. Getting physios down there to help local people free of charge that have got problems with their body that they can't afford to sort out.
Yeah.
Just trying to help the community, I suppose.
Okay.
And then it grew from there. And
when you set up the Sports Business Club, what was the sort of structure around building that up, or what was your idea of it, when it started, and has it gone in the right direction?
Complete accident.
Really?
Nothing was planned.
So
Love it.
Listen, I've got ADHD. I don't plan anything. Right? It just happens.
So you're good at doing stuff, and then seeing where it goes.
Right,
so you make things happen. Things come from it.
I'm exceptionally talented about making something out of nothing. I can sell rice to the Chinese if I want to, and that's not, that's maybe racist. I shouldn't have said that. Can we? Let's not put that
Is
bit.
there any profiling in there?
Yeah.
We can sell salt to a slug.
Yeah. I can do ice to Eskimos. Oh shit, that's just bad. Right, no, fine. What I mean is, so I can sell an idea to anybody. So, but I can't do the admin. So I'm lucky I've got other people that can do stuff for me, right? So basically, the idea was, look, lockdown happened, and ironically, so ironic that I was at this time. I the same person I was helping doing that running up in Manchester had the relationship issues. We were talking daily at this time. We'd never met, but we just talked daily. Just a nice person to talk to on the phone. And she's a real close friend of mine now. Ironically, we're now a year and a half down the line.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
I love it.
And we'll touch base with each other every week. And she's in a relationship now. Someone that respects her.
Yeah.
How good's that? Eh?
So she's broken that pattern of.
Well, we're only a year in, but let's see.
Yeah. People change.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, absolutely. But it seems to be that she's taking it slower. She's not throwing herself into it. She's learning, and yeah, absolutely. But the point, as am I, I'm learning. But the really thing is, you meet someone for a reason. So, Gillingham Town, we need to bring money into the club. You had lockdown 1. So you couldn't have any, and then lockdown 2, you couldn't have any spectators. Yeah. So people that were going to sponsor you didn't have the money to sponsor you because they were locked down. Yeah, and then you couldn't have spectators. So people that were going to pay for sponsorship all of a sudden think, well, there's no one going to come to the ground. So you had no money. So what I thought is, well, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. It's in Sittingbourne. I'll create a business-to-business network in Sittingbourne. So I want local business to pay £500 a year. And then what they can do is we'll do a couple of Zoom meetings a month. We'll do social media posting about the business, and we'll do meetings once a month at the ground. Yeah. When obviously lockdown finished. And ironically, between lockdown 1 and lockdown 2, we got 2 socially distanced meetings on the pitch. Nice. Well, blow me, we raised 13 grand in 3 weeks from a cold start. It was called the Gillingham Town Business Club, right? But when we had our first meeting on the 18th of July 2020, between lockdown 1 and lockdown 2 on the pitch, we had someone turn up from a director from Tooting and Mitcham Football Club, someone from the local Kent Football Association. Because there was so much going on on social media. They were like, what's going on with this club?
Yeah, what is it?
So they all came down and they went, do you realise you could help other clubs? And it was after that meeting I met 2, so it was me, Alex Bernardes, who's the club captain, and a guy called Paul Wren, who's a medial hypnotist.
Control and check.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming on. He's coming on.
Yeah,
we've got Paul coming on as well. Yeah.
Paul Wren's co-director of Paul's Business Club.
Oh, amazing.
He's the next director. He's a networking director, right? So Paul, myself and Alex were running it. But then we got 2 other people, Jenny Lowe, and a guy called Miko Henrietta, that met us at the network and said, right, we'll invest in this, let's get it done. So literally after that first meeting on the 18th of July, we went to the pub afterwards, sat there for about 2.5 hours, planned the Sports Business Club, and on the 1st of September we launched the Sports Business Club, which basically any club or charity can come to us. Then we host networking events around that club, bring up all the businesses, bring them in as guests. If anyone wants to join, 20% of the money goes straight into that club, 5% goes to charity, and 75 is retained to run the network. Because now it's, and we've got access to over 70 odd clubs. We funded them by over 25 grand. We've got almost 200 businesses that are part of the network, and more are joining every week.
That's literally just in the first year, isn't it?
First year, yeah.
And during a pandemic.
Yeah.
So you're helping clubs to generate money.
We're generating money for them. We're doing the network
by them
bringing people
showing
together.
them how to get involved more in their local community.
No, what we're doing is we're creating the business network around them.
Right.
So they give us access to their clubhouse and they give us access to their badge. So we're allowed to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get the local businesses in their area, one solicitor, one mortgage broker, one builder, one plumber, one there. We basically say, right, for 600 quid a year, you can be part of this network, monthly meetings, but also you can also get on the Zoom meetings and meet businesses nationwide as well as locally.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So you're meeting local businesses and nationwide businesses, and you can meet other sports clubs.
There's access.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got 51 ambassadors now. We've got Marilyn Okoro, she won bronze in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I've got about 22 ex-Premier League players. I've got Taz Bricknell, an England under-20 international rugby player.
Nice.
We've got Martin Perry. He's the Paralympic table tennis champion for Great Britain.
Yeah.
Only got one right leg, so he's born without both his arms and one left leg. And these are all part of what we do now. Yeah. So what we're doing is we're bringing sports people together with businesses, with sports clubs and charities, and we're just giving them one platform where they can all talk to each other.
Nice.
Yeah. And basically, 25% of all the revenue generated gets donated to sports clubs and charities all over the UK.
Yeah,
That is it. And it's just a very simple thing. And it's like Puma. Puma, the multi-billion-pound worldwide company, is part of it. So they joined.
Yeah.
You know, so we've got Puma in there, yeah?
Yeah.
But the good thing
In the
is, you
first
go onto a
year.
network meeting, and Puma can be in the same Zoom meeting as semi-retired Reiki hand massage therapist Anna Collins from Maidstone.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and Puma said they've paid 600 quid membership and done 9.5 grand's worth of business in its first year.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all, is it? So it's a no-brainer for
But it's-
small
Yeah.
businesses.
It's
to
even
get
how
involved.
I found Stuart Wade?
It's Stuart Wade,
yeah.
it's through me.
Yeah, exactly. It's only because I saw you posting up his profile and I
Did
thought,
you link with him because of that?
yeah, literally because of that,
Because
mate.
Stuart's a martial arts expert
Yes, yeah, he is.
and sports hypnotherapist and confidence coach.
Yeah, he's coming in here as well. So we've got him
I'll tell
and
you
Paul
what,
as
I
well.
would just literally give you the sports
Yeah,
business club list.
so sorry about
So
this.
you're a member, you're a non-paying member.
You're a
Don't tell
non-paying
people-
member, yeah.
Don't tell people, Keir.
You know, heritage, you know.
But it's the thing is about it is that you only join the sports business club if you want to give back.
Yeah.
Because naturally it's giving back. So, and I've had it. People have said there's no arseholes in your group because everyone that joins
Wants to
are
give.
not about themselves; they're about giving back.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
So you've had almost a shift in your own mentality, haven't you? Of as you touched on earlier, of it being very selfish. It was all about you. To now wanting to do something that's helping other people.
The all about me was drugs.
It was
Yeah.
drugs that
It was
created
drugs.
that.
It was drugs. It was drugs. It was all about what I needed to do to get my next bit of drugs.
So before
I've never
cocaine,
been a selfish
never.
person. No. Do you know what? I come across as very arrogant and egotistical because I was so insecure inside. I put on a mask.
Like compensating for
100% a mask, yeah.
Yes.
And I think because I was always told I wasn't good enough, I used to highlight when I was good enough.
Project it. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's why I was bullied a bit because, like, look at me, you know.
Yeah.
Really inside I was screaming. Do you know what I mean? But then when I did the drugs, it was the other way around. You know, I was kind of inside. It was like I needed to get what I needed to get to make myself feel better in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I just wanted to do drugs because I was an arsehole. It was what I felt I needed to be able to be able to be me. You know. So anyway, long story short, yeah, that I've always wanted to help other people, but I've never felt I had anything worth giving.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the desire to go out there and do good things and help people is in the vast majority of people.
Yeah.
But I think it's
Opportunity as well.
Opportunity and lack of confidence as well.
Mm.
Do you know what? I met a chap, similar to what you said about the Costa and giving the person the Costa in the vehicle behind. I met a chap. I stupidly went to Wickes and I bought this outdoor storage that I only realised once I'd got it out that it wasn't going to fit in my car. But being a really stubborn chap, I was like, right, I'm going to find any way. So I'm trying to take it all out of the container, trying to fit it in different areas of my car. And anyway, this gentleman came over and he must have been in his 80s or 90s, elderly man. And he was struggling walking. He came over and he said, are you still trying to fit that in your car, son? And I was like, yeah. I said, I know, I'm an idiot. And he goes, put half of it in my car, keep half in yours, and then I'll follow you home. You're local? And I said, yeah. And I told him, and he said, oh, it's perfect.
He nicked it, didn't he?
Yeah, I've never seen him since.
he's got half the story in his house.
He did say to me, you're lucky it's not a TV, otherwise you might not have seen me. But he was, struggling to walk. Shout out Bruce. Road, Seven Oaks. But what a sweet guy. And I said to him, mate, is there anything I can do for you? He followed me here, and he didn't have to do any of that. And he just said to me, he said, if you can't help people, what more is there?
Yeah.
I think so many people do that though, don't they? Is they just put their head down, blinkers on.
London's
a prime example. You try smiling at someone on the tube, you get arrested.
You get swung at immediately.
Yeah. I had this in London. I actually had this in London, right? I needed change, right? When I say I needed change, I wasn't begging. I had a note, and I needed to change it. And I'm going to people, do you mind if I... And they're all thinking I'm begging for money. No one will look at me.
Literally.
20, 30 people. All I wanted was to change a £5 note into change.
I think it's a thing about a city that size, those strangers are dangerous.
Impersonal.
Whereas if you live in a smaller town or village, like people say hello to you and they walk past and stuff. It's London. I was on the escalator, this American guy just turned around, he started talking to me. He was a tailor. And I was sort of going to say to him, mate, it's nice what you did, but just be careful doing that. Do you know what I mean?
But you don't want to warn them off for that innocence, though, do you?
No,
exactly, because all of a sudden, what you're then doing, and you're doing it because of your own experience, is you're now influencing other people to feel like you do.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Where actually, if everybody was like him...
It'd be nicer.
It would be a nice world.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're a bad person, but you've been conditioned
by
the area you live in to feel
that's
like
normal.
Yeah, which is just don't get involved.
It's normalising a certain sort of culture, isn't it, I guess, in that environment. It's, but no, I think, you go to south of France, it's like the extreme opposite. You walk around a village, if someone walks past you, they say hello immediately. Morning, evening, whatever.
Yeah.
You say that in England, people are like, oh, we're going to call a friend, make sure they know where I am.
I live in the Isle of Sheppey, right? So,
got a good reputation, Sheppey, I've heard.
No, it hasn't. I was going to say.
Like, who have you been talking to?
Where you've been living. No, but do you know what? The funny thing is that, and I don't look down on anybody, because you got to remember, even though I was driving a fast car and a modern car and wearing a nice suit, I was scum. I was sticking coke up my nose and driving my kids around illegally off my head, stealing from people to feed my habit. Yeah. So I looked the part, but I was a complete arsehole. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? A real part. Yeah. I should have been in prison a couple of times. Yeah. If I was caught with what I actually really physically done, I should have served time a lot of times, you know. But
the lockdown did it. The lockdown probably brought out a sense of community.
Well,
everyone come out.
No. Lockdown 1 did.
One did.
Right?
Yeah.
Lockdown 2, everyone was slagging the government off and started.
Fed up.
Lockdown 3, there'd be World War 3.
Yeah.
Seriously, you had another lockdown, it would be like people would be slashing each other.
Do you think we'll have another one?
Everything's level right now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think herd immunity is going to start to come in to play. I think the big thing is what happens between now and Christmas. Yeah. Because kids are going back to school.
Mm-hmm.
University.
I've been here the last 2 weeks. I've not got COVID. I've done checks and stuff like that. But I've had the flu like symptoms. I mean, my voice is a little bit crackly today. I'm still recovering. I'm not contagious or ill.
I moved away from the mic.
Thanks to this wonderfully airtight room that we're all in. So I think that what we're going to start to find is that more families spending time with each other now, because you won't be outside so much because the weather's changed. When you're outside, when you're family, it's easier. Yeah. So I think the next 3 months is going to tell us what's going to be.
We always said, didn't we, it'd be a winter lockdown, would be a nightmare. That first lockdown, the perfect weather, everyone out. But we did say, and we did liken it a little bit to prison in a sense, because you realise, and in a very sort of tongue-in-cheek way, but we started doing things. We both spent the first 2 weeks together on lockdown to isolate away from our families, and but we're cutting each other's hair. Prison activity, lifting weights, prison activity,
reading,
playing chess,
arguing with neighbours.
Yeah.
So there's lots of sort of similarities to.
Which is what I'm saying to you. But I mean, and again, look at the world. I mean, how many times do you see a picture of a city where you can actually see across the city rather than the smog and the crap and the pollution?
Yeah.
The damage we were doing. Yeah. I used to cycle, so back then I was living in Headcorn. I was living with an arsehole of a flatmate, but I was in Headcorn. So I was just outside near Billingdon, and I'd get my bike and I'd cycle from about 4 miles into the Sainsbury's. Sorry.
Do you guys want more to drink, by the way?
We'll do that in a minute.
Yeah.
Yes, 4 miles in and 4 miles out. I'll just finish this little bit, then we'll do it. I need to wee as well.
Alpha male.
It's all right. Feel free to interrupt me whenever you want.
Makes it even easier for editing.
Yeah. I mean, I've not got ADHD. I can remember everything I started talking about. So, feel free to interrupt me and take me off course. I'm joking.
Turn his mic off because he's being a bit rude now.
So basically I'll be on the bike, and what I noticed over weeks and weeks and weeks is there was more and more wildlife on the road. Yes. I saw voles, rabbits, all this on the road because no one was driving because you weren't allowed out in your car unless you had a purpose.
Yeah.
It's crazy just to sit and equally just looking at the roads themselves. Did you drive anywhere during that time? It was amazing driving around.
No, was there no one out?
I drove down to his a couple of times. It was really quite cool.
It was a ghost. Yeah. Bizarre. Being on the M25 in rush hour and being like one of the only cars you can see, no one in front, no one behind.
Well, where I was when I lived on my own, you were allowed to actually spend time with another person on the road. Yeah. And I started using a dating app, and I met someone outside of Maidstone. I was like, I can cycle. I didn't have a car at the time. Yeah, I can cycle. I cycle over to about 27 miles, fucking blowing out my arse. Right, completely and utterly regretting it. And got there and it was like, turned up like a drenched, piece of crap. Anyway, I knew I well enough to have a bath there and everything else. And I got my mate to pick me up. So my mate picked me up in the car, drive me back. We got pulled over by the police. What you doing?
Oh, really?
They asked you, where are you going?
Well, why are you in the car? What are you doing?
Yeah.
And luckily I had a bag packed and my bike in the back. Yeah. So, because apparently, because of relationships, you've had an issue with someone in a relationship, you're allowed to leave the house. Yeah. So I actually made up a bullshit story that I was living with a partner, we just had a row, I packed a bag and he's taking me back to his. Yeah. And they're like, fine, let you go. Yeah. But literally got the one time I went out in the car, pulled over straight away.
Really? Yeah.
I was lucky during that period. Yeah. We had 2 weeks, literally nothing. I was sleeping on his floor in his
Is that before you moved into here?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We only moved in here February time. Yeah. It was literally Aaron's floor for 2 weeks, and then
I would let him have a bed, but I don't have a bed myself.
Yeah.
So
he just moved in as well.
Yeah. Oh, okay. It sounds like you used to have come off the streets.
He was sleeping in the same room as me, but he moves around so much in the night, talks in his sleep.
I'm a nightmare, mate.
I kicked him out. I was like, mate, what you can't sleep in this room anymore. I kicked him out.
But we did. But talking, in fact, relating that as well to the image of perfection, and the image that we see of people and that we assume. I put a couple of photos up during that time of us smoking cigars, out in the sun and stuff. And I did say to Aaron, I said, it's funny because we're posting photos of us smoking cigars and enjoying tanning in lockdown. But where am I actually sleeping? I'm sleeping on a floor.
Yeah.
And I thought, everyone sees this, but they need to see the reality as well. Even though we're absolutely having fun, and sleeping on the floor is not a problem for me. I'm very happy with just a roof over my head. Yeah. But I thought, we put that out as well because it shows, even though we're projecting the positive of enjoying life, etc., this is where we sleep, and that's reality.
Yeah. It's funny that when I was sharing that flat in Headcorn before I set up the sports business club and I was helping people, the guy I moved in with was a narcissistic arsehole. I never knew it at the time. I knew him for about 6 months. He needed a flat, so we moved in together. Tried to control it. I mean, he woke me up at 8 o'clock one morning to tell me that I never left enough water in the kettle the night before.
What the fuck?
Yeah, that's how... That is level, right?
Yeah.
You never left enough water in the kettle the night before. I said it took you longer to come and get me than it did to put water in the kettle.
But if you're going to flick the kettle on, you're responsible for its water content.
So I was confined to one room. I had a mattress on the floor in that room, and that was it.
Did you just want to stay away from him because he was such?
I never went in the other room, right? And he was such an arsehole that I went away for the weekend, ironically, up to Manchester to see that friend of mine. We went to Lake District. And when I come back, he'd moved out and took all the furniture. TVs, the lot, even stuff that I'd paid for with him.
Yeah.
I came back to an empty flat. Even the fridge, freezer, the washing machine, everything. Apart from one mattress on the floor in the room. Right? So I took a photograph of that one mattress, because that one mattress on the floor in the room was the same place that I set up the sports business club from.
Yeah, that's...
A mattress on the floor in the room. I've now got a 3 double-bedroom bungalow. that I rent,
Yeah.
but it's a step up.
Yeah, it's
And
progress.
then I'm going to have another step at some point,
Yeah.
you know? So actually, living in my car to a mattress on the floor, that was heaven to me.
Yeah.
But then within weeks, the mattress on the floor feels like shit. Does that make sense?
It
And
does,
it's amazing
yeah,
what
yeah.
people's perception is based on what's going on in your life at the time.
So
Yeah,
do you hear that,
it is.
Aaron? When will that start for you, the mattress on the floor feeling shit?
Are you still
What do you mean?
Are you still sleeping on the floor? Or are you on the mattress?
I've got a mattress, but it's on the floor. But it's because I need to build a bed.
That's right.
But I need to do the tabletop.
You need to
Don't
do
I?
the tabletop first.
Yeah, the carpentry, mate. It happens in
But you haven't
stage.
even done the tabletop. You just put some bit of wood in here.
Exactly. Well, there we go. That's why I haven't got a bed then, isn't it?
We'll be waiting a while.
I mean, I keep hearing the tapping noises on the table since I've been in it.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
Acoustic tabletop. But
But
yeah,
that is-
I know what you're saying. It's like you're always going to compare where you are to where you've just been, aren't you? That's a kind of almost like a that's what drives human nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're always looking for the next thing. You're like, oh, I've got that. That's all right.
Stage.
I wanted that. Now I've got it. Okay, where do we go from here?
The happiest people out there are the happiest people that realise what they've got. Not
Appreciate
where they need to be
it.
next.
Yeah.
It's always good to
Yeah.
have that drive, and it's always good to be next. And I think that if you don't have something to aim for, then you lose a sense of purpose and well-being.
Directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look at Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
When he became heavyweight world champion.
Yeah.
What he always wanted to do, gets there and then goes off the rails. You can't go any higher than heavyweight world champion, can
But
you?
I think equally the balance, as you say, of actually appreciating, what we have and the opportunities we
Sitting
have, the
back.
health,
Yeah.
the roof over the head, the mattress on the floor. It's still a mattress.
In my daughter's, I cried my eyes out the first Christmas I had them in that bungalow. It was last Christmas, actually. I cried my eyes out. I'd moved in, I'm 40 years old at the time. And I moved in on the 5th of September. I didn't really have much money. Not much. I mean, the small business club was doing okay. Hardly any businesses joined. It was only 2 months old in December. And literally, for Christmas, I had a tenner to spend on them each. And I said to my daughter, Emily, look, I've only got a tenner. I really can't get you anything. She went, what, you being stupid? I went, what do you mean? Because you've got us a home, you're giving us everything. Yeah? We've spent years not being able to stay overnight. We've spent years not being able to see you properly. You've just given us our life back.
Yeah.
You know?
That's reality.
Now that's reality.
Yeah.
You're right.
Needless to say, her birthday, she wanted £70 trainers, but
Yeah.
back then it was all right.
And the £10 as well. So I hope that tenner, by the way. Now you've got a bit more money.
Yeah.
But, I try not to read the news because it pisses me off. But we look at like we've got the fuel crisis thing, and then they're talking about energy, and then they're saying CO2, and we're not going to have turkeys and beer and whatever. And I saw this headline that just annoyed me so much. It was like, brace yourself for the Christmas from hell. And I was like, goodness, what is this? So I read it, and it's like, shortage of turkeys, might not have a choice of beer. And I was like, that isn't...
Who cares?
I was like,
in
that's
reality?
not the Christmas from hell, guys.
Try telling the person on the streets about
Yeah.
Christmas from
Yeah,
hell.
or
Yeah.
go to some refugee camp in Syria
Yeah.
or somewhere in Somalia where they're being
Go and have a
attacked.
chat to them about hell.
That's hell, right? I'm not going to sit there and I'll be at my mum's and she'll turn around and be like, oh, listen, there's chicken this year. Oh, my goodness.
That's it. Throw your
Yeah.
plate down,
Yeah,
Kick
storm
right
out.
off.
What's
Yeah.
just happened? Or, oh, we've not got beer, we've only got wine or whatever. Christmas from hell, that
It's
just
the
pissed me off so
audacity,
much.
the
I
audacity
just-
of the media to
I just
say
thought,
things
you
like that.
bunch of fucking pricks.
100%,
Like, it pissed me off.
100%.
Yeah.
And I just thought that anyone who reads that and thinks it's going to be hell can fuck off as far as I'm concerned, because
Anyone who believes it, yeah. Don't
yeah,
care.
you're
And feeds into it.
you're a donut. You're an absolute donut.
No,
If
you're
you-
worse than a donut, but that's very polite way of putting it.
Yeah.
We might not even get a
You're a
donut
fucking
at Christmas,
moron.
will we?
That's right.